For section 2.3, we are going to be talking about box plots. These are also called box and whisker plots, or sometimes just called box whisker plots. This is a graphical representation of that 5-number summary that we talked about in our last lesson, the minimum, the maximum, and the 3 quartiles. Here's a very basic example of what a box plot would look like. Notice you will have your minimum point marked on the far left, you'll have your maximum point marked on the far right, and then each of your quartiles here is going to be marked in the middle. And another thing to notice that's very specific here is your scale is very even. They're going up by tens each time. You want to make sure you make your scale and your axis on the bottom first before you start marking your minimums and maximums and the quartiles, because the whole point of this box plot is to be able to see the spread of the data as you're going through it. So here are the steps for constructing a box plot. I forgot to change these, and I do it a little bit differently than what this says, but the first thing you do have to do no matter what is obtain your 5-number summary. Then you want to draw the horizontal axis, as I mentioned, and mark the correlating tick marks that you're going to need so that you've got your scale set. And then this is where I do it a little bit differently than what this instruction says. This says that you're going to locate your Q1, Q2, and Q3, and then draw vertical lines at those quartiles. I will do it that way. I think maybe when you do it on the computer, it might be a little bit easier if you do it that way. So I'll show you that way, but that's not typically how I do it. Then locate your minimum and maximum values. Draw horizontal lines from the minimum to Q1 and then from the maximum to Q3. Then finally, you're going to finish that rectangular box in the middle that connects those 3 quartiles together. Example 213, every 6 months, the United States Federal Reserve Board conducts a survey of credit card plans in the U.S. The following data are the interest rates charged by 10 credit card issuers randomly selected from the July 2005 survey. Determine the 5-number summary of the data and draw the corresponding box plot. Here is our information, and I am going to try to get this set up here for us. So first of all, we want to order our data so we can find that 5-number summary. So 6.5 is the smallest percentage. Then we've got 9.9. So that takes care of those two. Then we have a 12.0, and we have a 13.0, 13.3. Then we have 13.9, it looks like. Then 14.3. 14.4 twice, and 14.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, looks like we've got them all. So if we want to find our median first, here's your minimum, and here's your maximum, the lowest and highest values. Then to find the median, we've got 10 values, so that means we'll have 10 numbers below the median and 5 numbers below the median and 5 numbers above the median. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That spot right there is going to be our median. And remember, when there's not a middle number, we take those 2 middle numbers, we add them together and divide by 2 because we're going to take the average of those 2 numbers. So in this case, that gives us 13.6. And that is our median or quartile 2. So now we have those 5 numbers below the median and 5 numbers above the median. So if we look at the 5 numbers below the median and we find the median of that half, it would just be the 12, because then you'd have 2 above the 12 and 2 below the 12. So this is going to be your Q1. And if we look at the 5 numbers that are greater than our median, then it's going to be the 14.4, and that is going to be our Q3. Now that we've identified those values, we want to go ahead and make our scale. So I'm going to make my scale down here, and I'll try and make it as even as possible when I do this. but we're going to go from 6.5 up to 14.5. So I'm just going to actually start with 6.5, and then 7.5, and then 8.5, and then 9.5, 10.5, 11.5, 12.5. I didn't make my thing long enough here, evidently. 13.5, and 14.5. Hopefully those are relatively even. Then we want to put our, I guess what they say is you put your quartiles on first. So we're going to put our quartile of 12. 12 is going to be halfway between the 11.5 and 12.5. So I'm going to draw that vertical line segment. And then 13.6 will be about right here. Try and make it about the same size. And then 14.4. So that's our first step for that one. Then we're going to find our minimum, and we'll put a dot here in the minimum, and we're supposed to draw a horizontal line over to quartile 1. And then we are going to do our maximum, which is just 14.5. So we have that dot, and we'll draw a horizontal line to Q3, which is obviously a much shorter line. And then we finish our box in the middle. Now, when I'm doing these by hand, what I will also typically do is I'll label these just in case it's not perfectly clear what these values are. So 6.5, this one was 12.0, this one was 13.6, this one was 14.4, and 14.5. So like on a test or something, you might want to do that. On the homework on the computer, you won't need to do that. You should be able to just kind of match it in where it should be. So that is an example of a box and whisker plot for this particular data set. And again, the point of doing a box and whisker plot is that you can see the spread of the data. So remember that this huge line right here is 25% of the data values, but you can see that they're very spread out because you've got that one that's way down at 6.5, then you've got a 9.9, and then your first quartile value ends up being at 12. Then you've got this 25% of the data, and that is very compressed. So that's the whole point of looking at something like this, is to see from a picture how spread out your data is when you are just to get a quick glance at those 25% sets. That is the end of section 2.4. It was just the box and whisker plots. So you've got your 8 problems to work on there. And again, if you have questions, please make sure that you send me a message or email me to ask questions on that.